Welcome everybody to another edition of TEW 2020 as we're continuing our MLW series in 2004 as it's the night after Summer Apocalypse where Steve Reno successfully defended the title against Steve Williams, and now it's time for the aftermath as we got the first underground taping of the sequence to the next big show. So we start the show as it's basically Steve Reno by himself doing a promo. It's basically saying like he's still the best wrestler in the world. Doesn't matter who he faces, Jerry Lynn, Steve Williams, throw anybody at him. Bring out Kabashi, bring out Eddie Guerrero, bring back Booker T, get that old man Ric Flair in here. He's still the best world champion in the world, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. 62, very straightforward promo, just gets Green over as a heel. As we do our opening, which gets a 16, Jesus, that's no good, is in a terrible match. Quantum Puma defeated Mike Shane and Ton Shane in 5-1 when Puma pinned Todd Shane. This is just a straight ahead match to get get Quantum Puma a win, because I don't think they've got a win in freaking forever, and I felt like, because I don't want to totally drop him under the sea, but I don't have much to do for him. But anyway, Puma gets a 28, Bobby Quance gets a 27, Todd Shane gets a 23, and Mike Shane randomly gets a 30. And overall, this gets a 16 because nobody is over yet. And then the babyface celebrating gets a 21. We have some Homicide Lynn highlights from the previous night. Just like any good post quasi ECW company would do. Buy the tape or buy the DVD, I guess it would be at this point. This gets a 39. Then move on to the Hart Foundation backstage, where basically they commiserate about losing at the pay-per-view at Summer Apocalypse, but they're going to get back in the saddle. Natty's with TJ, Val's with Jack Evans, Teddy Hart is saying Jack and TJ, you take care of the tag division, I'm gonna go after the light heavyweight title. 21, straightforward stuff, just to get these guys a little more over, and just the wackiness of them all five being backstage. Then we go on, we're in a terrible match, which also gets a 16. Yikes, this might not be the best show. I'm sort of focusing on our main event to actually get us over. Well, we saw another match that should do well, but anyway, in a terrible match, Mana defeated M-Dog 20 in 5:28 by pinfall. M-Dog 20 gets a 21, Mana gets a 33, this gets a 16 overall. Yeah. And then Mana and Sabu destroy M-Dog afterwards, which gets a 31. Just a straight ahead heel squash win for Mana, since Ekmo's in All Japan this week. Then we go to, in a decent match, Bryan Danielson defeated Chad Collier in 5:43 by submission with a cattle mutilation. This gets a 48. Danielson gets a 56. Collier gets a 29. Just a straight ahead win for Danielson, just to give him, he won, just to prove that, he's still the best. And Danielson celebrating afterwards gets a 54. Next up, we have highlights of both Nigel and D'Lo, including Nigel getting the big win over D'Lo and Strong and Hero, going against each other, including, the two shaking hands afterwards. This gets a 36. And then we have highlights of the main event, including Steve Reno getting a big win over former Triple Crown champion Steve Williams, which gets a 49. Then in our main event, in a decent match, the Amazing Red defeated Michael Modest in 15:04 by pinfall the Red Star Press. And Michael Modest gets a 43. Amazing Red gets a 52. And yeah, a big win for Red. As the show finishes with Amazing Red getting, celebrating, this gets a 54. Overall, the show gets a 51. And yeah, just a straightforward, solid post big show as we start to road on to our next big show, just sort of finishing things up, and then we'll move on to actually building things up with the next taping. But this was just sort of the real post show, get over, hype, whatever happened last night. And yeah, so nothing big here. And yeah, okay, that's interesting. Let me just see what Raw did randomly. Okay, Booker, Rob Van Dam, Shawn Michaels tweet Booker T and Kane got 100, because of course I did. But yeah, so I'll be back in a second with the next set of tapings for this month. So see you in just a moment. Alright, time for the second taping of the cycle as we open up with the Extreme Horsemen backstage, where they talk about how they're having a 6-man tag match tonight against Hero, Nigel, and Strong, and say, you guys want to act all buddy-buddy, but at the end of the day, you're all young wrestlers trying to scratch your claw, but no matter how hard you fight, no matter how you end up fighting each other, you'll still fail because we're still at the top of the mountain and there's nothing you can do about it. So again, straight hit heel promo gets a 60 as we move forward to Vedder making his debut. So this is actually Flash Flanagan from OVW from back in the mid 2000s, or Cobain from like Two Shots on TNA. So I'm basically stealing his TNA gimmick and making his name Vedder instead of Cobain, because why not? But yeah, this gets a 41. Just him, like, acting like a rock star, I guess, or coming out sort of, with longer hair and dressed in like leather pants and looking like a rock star, I guess. Yeah, something like that. And then in the actual match about the distraction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling, Vedder defeated Harry Smith in 8:17 by pinfall. This gets a 42. Vedder gets a 47. Harry Smith gets a 22. The main reason why I actually heard him is he's actually surprisingly over in the Southeast region, so I figured I could use him, to actually get some over some people after I build him up a little bit. And then Vedder celebrating gets a 44. Then we had a SAT and Pitbull standoff backstage. Pitbull saying, that the SATs got lucky in retaining their titles. The SAT just called Pitbulls whiners. And it looks like there's going to be another fight, but MLW officials get between them. And, looks like this tag team battle is far from over, as we're at a 31. Solid stuff. And then we have about a decent action from the crowd, but subpar wrestling. Ekmo defeated Chad Collier in 5:51 by pinfall, Samoan drop. This gets a 41. Ekmo gets a 48. Chad Collier gets a 24. And yeah, just another simple squash for Ekmo to get him over. And Ekmo killing Collier got a 36. Fun stuff. Then we had the babyfaces backstage. Hero, Nigel and Roderick, they basically would put out, yes, they are young, they are hungry, and maybe in the end they'll have to end up fighting each other to determine who really is the best. But for now, they're focused on one mission, taking out the Extreme Horsemen. This gets a 41, perfectly solid. Yeah, I mean, these guys aren't super over yet, but they're getting there. And then in about had good heat and decent wrestling, the Extreme Horsemen of Carino, D'Lo, and Simon Diamond defeated Hero, Nigel, and Roderick in 17:37 when Diamond pinned Hero with the Diamond after it says JJ Dillon interfered, but I'm thinking like Dillon interfered by giving Diamond a pair of brass knuckles. Diamond nails him, hits the finisher, gets the pinfall. 54 overall. Diamond gets a 50, D'Lo gets a 50, Carino gets a 62. Strong gets a 46, Nigel gets a 52, Chris Hero gets a 33. Solid stuff. And then afterwards, we have a brawl where Lynn makes a save, but also Danielson got involved. And all of a sudden, we have 8 man all fighting. I wonder what that's setting up. Interesting. Anyway, this gets a 52. And overall, the show itself gets a 51. So again, really solid stuff, just straightforward, especially considering, we had we didn't have, 2 big matches. We had just had 1 big match. So that's really solid stuff. But, that's it for this show. So I'll be back in a second with the next show from the taping. Alright, time for the second show of this taping, as with Danielson and Lynn, basically as we do quote-unquote post-show last week, where Danielson and Lynn are arguing, and Danielson's face me in the ring tonight and prove, and I'll prove that when you beat me before, it was as fluke because I'm the best in the world. And Lynn's like, fine, we'll do it. And, we fairly almost brawl again. This gets a 43, fairly straightforward promo. As we go forward, it's in a terrible match. That's mean. Teddy Hart defeated Bobby Quance in 7:02 by pinfall. Teddy gets a 23. Bobby Quance gets a 29. 27 overall just puts Teddy over. And then Teddy celebrating with Val and Natty gets a 24. So yes, just get him over as a member of the junior heavyweight division. And then we have Amazing Red officially challenging Loki for the junior heavyweight title. Saying, I failed against you before, Loki, but this time I will become the junior heavyweight champion. This gets a 40. Then we have about that good heat and decent wrestling. Sabu defeated Vampiro 9:33 by pinfall the Arabian Facebuster. This gets a 49. Vampiro gets a 38. Sabu gets a 54. Just a straight head win for Sabu. As he comes back after not being on the last big show because I screwed up the actual timing of the show because I'm a very smart man. And then afterwards, we have Sabu celebrating the brawl again as looks like that Ekmo still wants his shot at Sabu, and this gets a 46. Then move on to in a good match, Bryan Danielson defeated Jerry Lynn in 22-10 by pinfall to Dragon Suplex. This gets a 55. Bryan Danielson had a 53. Jerry Lynn gets a 51. So yeah, this is just a straight ahead, good wrestling match. Danielson is able to get a few lucky moves. He gets the big win, and it's a totally clean one. Because again, occasionally you have to give heels clean ones so they aren't total jokes. And then afterwards, Danielson is celebrating, but then, Hero, Strong, and Nigel all come down to the ringside, and it's a face-off with him. And the show ends with that face-off, as it gets a 47, and overall, the show itself gets a 48. So, not our best show, mainly because we didn't have that blow-away promo. We didn't have that usual Extreme Horsemen promo that we usually do that gets us into the 50s. But still, 48 still increases our popularity, so that's really solid. As we move forward, survey says... Let's see if there's any interesting mail, and then we'll go to the next show. Final show as far as for the month. And this gets, okay, so Ekmo, Danielson, Ekmo, okay, sure. ECW production change. Yeah, okay. So that's it for now, and I'll be back in just a minute with the next tapings. So see you then. Okay, so we start out the first show of this series of tapings. With basically a brawl where Ekmo and Sabu are fighting backstage, and then Mana and Samu attack Sabu. So sort of play off what happened last week with Sabu, Ekmo running in on Sabu. But, MLW officials break it apart before things get too bad, but still shows the disadvantage Sabu has. But so far we're at a 46 for that, so decent opening. Then we go to our opening match, where in a decent match, Ricky Reese defeats Joel Maximo in 7-10 by pinfall. This gets a 44. Joel gets a 40. Ricky Reese gets a 43. And then afterwards, the Havana Pitbulls make title belt motions because, they just got a big victory over one half of the tag team champions. And overall, this gets a 32. So perfectly solid stuff. Afterward, we got Low-Key accepting the title match for next week against the Amazing Red. This gets a 42, fairly straightforward promo, just, Low-Key being Low-Key and talking deeply about being a warrior and all that fun stuff. And then he will continue being the most honorable champion in Major League Wrestling. Then we have a Homicide in ring, which gets a 58, which reminds me Homicide is really good. And basically, says that it's, bullshit that he hasn't been booked on a show since Armageddon. This shows that MLW officials are afraid of him, that they don't want him to beat up any of his meal tickets. So there's about to be some child abuse because he's about to kick some hurt kid's ass from one side of Florida to the other. And this gets a 58. And like I said, the actual match isn't a decent reaction in the crowd, but subpar wrestling. Homicide defeats Harry Smith in 7-19 by pin for the Cop Killer. This gets a 38. Homicide gets a 41. Harry Smith gets a 24. So yeah, this is basically an extended squash. Harry Smith gets his hope spots in, but then Homicide is Homicide, and he gets the win. And then afterwards, we have a beatdown, and Hartford Nation run in. They don't really stop him. They just more keep him occupied till officials get involved. This gets a 25. Not the worst thing in the world, but probably not the best thing either. But yeah, still gets Homicide over as sort of a madman. Then after that, we have yeah, I sort of expected this might be a problem. So, in a good match, Roderick Strong and Nigel McGuinness defeat D'Lo Brown 7 Diamond 1939 when Roderick Strong pinned D'Lo. So this gets a 44. Simon Diamond gets a 58. D'Lo gets a 50. Nigel gets a 56. Roger gets a 47. But overall gets a 44. We hit the fourth time penalty. Yeah, so it wasn't good as recent matches, so it made the match seem even worse. And D'Lo Brown completely phoned in his performance, which is unfortunate. I guess he's upset that he's been doing some drops, but not the end of the world. Because then we have a big post-match brawl. Jerry Lynn comes out, and then he makes a challenge alongside the rest of the babyfaces for War Games at Devil's Night, which is the next show, which is, the third week of October. So, there we go. That sets that up. Unfortunately, I didn't double check, so both Carino and Bryan Danielson are unavailable for this taping, but the good news is it's only 2 shows. So, when a show gets a 46, we still increased our popularity, but still not sort of a down show, mainly because that tag match didn't do as well as it should have. But not the end of the world. But yeah, that's it. So I'll be back in just a second with the other show from this taping. Okay, it's time for the second show of the taping, as we're live from the Spring Hill Civic Hall in Florida, as it's the second taping for MLW Underground, as we continue on the road towards Devil's Night. As we start with, backstage with Simon Diamond, D'Lo Brown, and J.D. Dillon. They say, the opponents got lucky last week, and if, Lynn wants a war, he'll have one, but Carino is busy being an actual world champion, fighting all over the world, so you'll get an answer about a War Games match when he's ready. It gets 49, fairly straightforward promo. And we have a big debut, not a big debut as far as in real life, but Jason Cross is actually fairly over in the Southeast, so he makes a big debut, showing up at the MLW, which gets a 33. For those who don't know, he was a NWA Wildside guy, wrestled a lot of early AJ Styles matches, and then, drifted off to irrelevance mainly because he had his own problems. But yeah, he's basically... think a slightly worse version of AJ Styles as far as in-ring style. He had a good Phoenix Splash as a finisher. And about had a decent reaction from the crowd, but Summer Wrestling, Jason Cross defeated M-Dog 20, Teddy Hart, and Puma in 10:43, when Jason Cross pinned M-Dog 20 with a crossfire, which is his Phoenix Splash type move. This gets a 41, Jason Cross gets a freaking 50, M-Dog 20 gets a 33, Teddy Hart gets a 23, and Puma gets a 31. Afterwards, Jason Cross celebrating gets a 31 because he's not the most charismatic guy in the world. That's probably the other reason why he didn't get that over or didn't do that much beyond, Southeast Indies stuff, including with AJ Styles. Then we have Ekmo, Man, and Sabu basically cutting a promo, well, mainly just Sabu, saying, this is his family, and Sabu, you want to talk about how much idol, genocidal, suicidal, that's always what the Samoans have been, and at Devil's Night, you want to fight, you'll get one, brother. 44, straightforward promo. Ekmo came across while looking scary in the background, and there you go. Then we had about that decent reaction from the crowd, but Summer Wrestling, Vetter defeated Norman Smiley in 6:15 by pinfall the Whip Flash. This gets a 36. Vetter gets a 39. Norman Smiley gets a 29. Vetter and Norman Smiley didn't click, which is unfortunate, but still, match got a 36, which isn't the end of the world. And then, Vetter's celebrating, still doing his Rockstar gimmick, gets a 40. And then, and a bout had that's unfortunate. Okay. Well, that's no good. How about a couple shows? This has just been a cursed show between the fourth penalty and this. So about that, very good heat and decent wrestling. The Amazing Red defeated Low-Key in 14:35 pinfall Red Eye. The Amazing Red wins the MLW World Junior Heavyweight title, but this only gets a 41, even though Red got a 54 and Low-Key got a 50 because Amazing Red suffered sustained knee ligament damage. Yikes. So they still finished the match, but that's unfortunate. But the show itself ends in interesting ways, as Amazing Red still sort of probably standing heavily on his bad knee with the title, and Low-Key shake hands, but out comes Homicide as he comes barreling through with a chair. Red sort of gets out of the way, shoot way probably, and then Low-Key and Homicide probably face off, and it looks like we have a new feud, as Low-Key no longer is the junior heavyweight champion, but Homicide, wants a, shot in at the level of the main event, and he probably thinks Low-Key is not worthy of it. This gets a 43, because not the best, but what can you do? This gets a 41, so really, it's unfortunate because it was a good show, but it got completely freaking ruined by that injury. That final would have been probably in the mid to low to mid 50s, and probably would have got us up to a 50 overall for the show. But what can you do? Shit happens. And DT is now development territory for NJPTW. That's kind of hilarious. New champion Otani. Okay, won the US 0-1 US champion. Okay. Akiyama's okay, that's interesting. Amazing Red is injured, so let's see here. Medical wise. Oof. That sort of kills things. I mean, it doesn't. Ooh. He might be literally just out long enough to miss the next big show. I hope that isn't true, but I kind of think that's true. Well, we'll just have to see. Wow. But yeah, that was kind of crazy. So yeah, we're taped the last 2 weeks. We've basically set up the pay-per-view. I mean, not the pay-per-view, but the big show, because we have Ekmo and Sabu being set up. we've got sort of the War Games officially but not officially happening, mainly because I need to make sure people are actually on my TV show to actually set it up finally. We've got the debut of Jason Cross. We've got, Vetter being rising and other fun stuff. And we got Amazing Ren as a new junior heavyweight champion, even though hopefully he can actually wrestle on that show. And then we got Loki and Outside start face off. So, nothing is like super obviously set up yet, but you could sort of tell if you're not I don't want to say a total moron, but if you're not like a total moron. But yeah, let's see here. But yeah, let's just, I'm going to go to the end of the month, and then we'll go over the actual, overness of everybody, and then we'll close things out for now. So we'll be back with that in just a moment. Okay, time for the end of month wrap up here as we're in the beginning of October. So quick thing is that basically because I still had Steve Williams for one appearance, and I want to just do a sort of random show. I had a show in Philadelphia, that named Philadelphia Freedom. I didn't show the booking of it because it was just basically a non-canon show. So we had Jack Evans winning a quote-unquote Money in the Bank match for a future junior heavyweight title shot. We had an old school ECW cat fight involving Lizzie Borden, Nadia Hart, Persephone, and SoCal Val because we were in Philadelphia. We had Jerry Lynn, Loki defeating Homicide Vampiro in a 43. We had Chris Fury defeating D'Lo Brown in a 43. We had Sabu defeating Jason Cross in a 40. We had Bryan Danielson defeat Terry Funk in a 56. And we had Steve Corino defeating Steve Williams again in a 58. And then Corino celebrating it a 77. So that was just sort of a straight head match to get Corino a little bit over. But let's go over our big guys and see if there's been any big movements for popularity. So Danielson is about the same, which makes sense because there hasn't been any huge shows. Ekmo, who's actually, I'm surprised he's getting this over. Ekmo's still about the same, so no big move for this guy. Homicide, considering I've barely used him. Let's see here. Yeah, Homicide's gone up a little bit in Mid-Atlantic, which probably isn't me, but otherwise it's about the same. Jason Cross, again, Jason Cross show him, he's, actually fairly popular. He immediately is a major star for us. Loki's up to the mid 45, so there you go. Nigel McGuinness is actually up to a 42, up to a 47 in the Southeast, and 42 in Tri-State still, and still mid 20s everywhere else as he slowly builds popularity on TV. Sabu's still Sabu. So yeah, he's up a point, in the Great Lakes, but about the same everywhere else. And okay, so for Steve Corino, he's up to the mid 40s in a lot of places. Mid-Atlantic, Southeast, 40, Southeast still at 52, up to a 37, up to a 27 Northeast still, up to a 40 in the Southwest, and up to a 42 in the Tri-State. So yeah. So that second big win over Williams actually helped him a decent amount. And if we go on stars, we have D'Lo Brown, who I've been dropping a decent amount, so he's actually been losing some popularity, which is not expected. So the story is he gave his notice, but it would totally screw up my last month. So I basically did edit the contract to get him through the next big show, but after that he'll be gone. So there you go. Jerry Lynn, let's see, it's actually interesting that he's been sort of hovering around the same in the 40s. So let me see. Did Amazing Red get a big win? Let's see here. Amazing Red actually got a couple decent. So big win over Loki, actually got in the 45s, 42s, low 30s. So that's a big one. Was there anybody else who got any huge ones? Let me see here. Not really. So I think that's about it for today. So yeah. So we don't have anything official for Devil's Night, but basically what we have is, it looks like we're going to have a War Games match, including the top babyfaces and Extreme Horsemen, and whoever they can find as a fourth man. We've got Ekmo and Sabu fighting. We've got seemingly the Havana Pitbulls and SAT heading for a rematch for their tag titles. We got the Amazing Red, who's injured, but still, might, not be injured by time Devil's Night is, so he might have a chance to fight, for the, to fight in the junior heavyweight title match. We've got the debut of Jason Cross. We have, Vetter making his debut in MLW. And we've also, had Homicide coming out to fight with Loki after he lost the junior heavyweight title. So sort of lots of things swirling around. And next show will be Devil's Night and the Aftermath. But that's it for now. So if you enjoyed this, go ahead and give it a like. Comment below on what you're enjoying and not enjoying. And subscribe to the channel for lots of TEW 2020 content, including this, my WCW 1993 Newark Bischoff series, more Core Nova stuff, and of course, my long-running WCW 2001 series now in 2003 with the debut of Eddie Guerrero. That's it for now, so thank you for watching, and adios.